All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. Tonight, we're going to be talking about the 2-1 Pittsburgh Steelers. I get it. It hasn't been perfect thus far, but keep in mind, we're 3 weeks into the regular season. The Pittsburgh Steelers currently lead the National Football League in sacks. However, their offense has been very lackluster prior to that Las Vegas game on Sunday night. Their offense did not have a first down in the first quarter in their first 2 games. So while I understand the 23-18 win over the Las Vegas Raiders isn't getting fans all that excited, there are a lot of positives, all right? And we're going to talk about that in today's video. But keep in mind, Pittsburgh, I never was worried Pittsburgh was going to lose that game at any point. Las Vegas scored 11 unanswered points in the fourth quarter, but outside of that, we saw points on the board in the first, second, and third quarter for this Pittsburgh Steelers team. They just need more guys to make plays, and regardless of Deontay Johnson not being available the last 2 games, George Pickens getting double teamed, the run game not really being able to get going, none of this matters to me quite yet because these are things I'm not worried about. I'm not worried about Kenny Pickett. I'm a Kenny Pickett fan. I'm a Kenny Pickett supporter. But this upcoming weekend against the Houston Texans, this is his moment. This is his opportunity. I love it. And I said, we talked about it all summer. We've talked about it this season. All of the game-winning drives, the fourth quarter, last possession drives that Kenny Pickett went on and won last year. I love seeing that. I love getting wins. A win is a win. This isn't college football. Context really doesn't matter. Nobody's going to be looking back and being like, in week 3, Pittsburgh only beat Vegas by 5. Like, I'm not really sure if they're a playoff team. Nobody's doing that. But I need Kenny Pickett to be what I saw in college, what we saw in the preseason games where he was lighting it up. This first team, the starters, were scoring touchdowns on every drive they played in the preseason. I know Kenny Pickett is capable of taking over a game with his arm and with his legs, and I want to see it sooner rather than later. And I think this upcoming weekend against Houston is the perfect time to do that. So obviously today we're talking Pittsburgh, but guys, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed, be sure to hit that like button, hit that sub button if you haven't already. If we could try and get 500 likes on tonight's video, that would mean a lot to me, Steelers fans. I post a couple of videos every single week, so stay tuned for more. The offense right now is just kind of limiting what they can do. Now, one very good positive was even though they only scored 23 points, even though they didn't score in the fourth quarter, the eye test proved and showed me that Matt Canada and this offense, they're trying new things. And I know, I'm not a huge Chris Collinsworth fan, but I believe he made several anecdotes during that broadcast saying it just feels like the playbook got a little bit bigger. It just feels like that playbook is finally beginning to open up a little bit better. So one really important thing for the Pittsburgh Steelers is play action and the run game. You've got Jaylen Warren, you've got Najee Harris, and we've talked about Najee Harris's slow start. Not really sure what's going on. I don't think he's injured, but I've seen some rumors saying maybe he's injured and he's not disclosing it. Either way, Jaylen Warren and Najee Harris in the running game, the Steelers, they need to be better. All right, so Pickett's numbers using play action in week 1 was 3 of 3. That sounds promising, right? Well, no, 4 yards. 4 yards, 3 of 3 for 4 yards, 5.9% of dropbacks. So week 2, we saw huge improvements. 3 of 5, 94 yards on 15.6% of dropbacks in the play action. And then this past weekend, Sunday night against Vegas, 6 of 8, 61 yards, a touchdown on 27.6% of dropbacks. So we're seeing almost a fourth-year offensive plays being play action. The Pittsburgh Steelers running attack is one of their best weapons that we just have yet to see. They are 3rd to last in total rushing yards. They are they're 2nd to last in total rushing yards. They're 2nd to last in total rushing attempts, and they're 3rd to last in rushing average, averaging just 3.2 yards per carry. Najee Harris is averaging 4 yards per carry, but it just hasn't been the Najee that we all know and love. We saw it a little bit against that Vegas game, but keep an eye on it. Jaylen Warren, after averaging 4.9 yards per carry in his rookie season, he's only seeing 5 or 6 attempts per game, but he's only averaging 3.2 yards per carry. So yes, I want Kenny Pickett to just absolutely torch this Houston Texans secondary, torch the Houston Texans defense, but at the same time, I want to see a balanced offense. I don't want them to be a predictable offense. I know we would all love Kenny to go 300 plus yards, 3 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, and then, 150 yards rushing with your 2-headed monster at running back. One very important anecdote here is that offensively, they've been very hindered. They've been very limited due to Deontay Johnson's injury. Now, if we were to use Deontay's last season, it was pretty lackluster. He didn't have over 1,000 yards and he didn't even have a touchdown. But Steelers fans, NFL fans, we know Deontay Johnson is a really, really good wide receiver in the National Football League. So what happens? Well, when you're without wide receiver one on, let me just make this point as well. If I were to remove wide receiver one on any National Football team, their offense is going to struggle. Your offense is going to struggle. What teams have been able to do is now they're able to double team George Pickens. They're able to double team him, and he's still been able to do, and they've still been able to make that work. But that's why we've seen, Calvin Austin, that 72-yard deep touchdown play on play action. Those are things that are going to open it up. And I'm so glad that that happened, because now I can't stack the box. I, could double team George Pickens if Deontay doesn't play, but that deep threat with Calvin Austin III, it's gonna and it can burn teams. So teams are not gonna stack the box as much, hopefully, moving forward here. Obviously Deontay coming back healthy is first and foremost what would change everything, but just unlocking Calvin Austin III, because, Allen Robinson's been fine. We've seen only about 3 or 4 catches per game. He's got 11 catches on the season, only 100 yards in total, only 33 yards per game. Allen Robinson's a perfectly fine veteran wide receiver 3 if Deontay is there. When Deontay is out, I need a guy like Calvin Austin III to come on in here and set it up. I need these big time plays. Teams need big time plays. So regardless, having Calvin Austin III get that 72-yard touchdown pass, yeah, there are things he needs to work on, particularly his hands, but this is essentially his rookie season. It is his rookie season because he's missed his entire rookie season. So be patient with the offense. Here's the thing. I would love for Pittsburgh to have started off 3-0, and I would have loved to have them be, a top 5 scoring offense, a top 10 defense, which they are, by the way, even though they've still got some injured guys. They're bringing in guys like Joey Porter III. I think he saw 27 snaps this past week against Vegas, and he saw 21 or 22. So he's getting eased into it. The defense is just a dominating force. I don't really actually care about any defensive statistic because they're loaded, other than injuries, they're loaded on all 3 sides of your defense. So it would be great to, just be this high-powered offense right out of the gate. But I just want to reiterate the fact that you want to hit your stride in the second half of the season. The first half of the season, if Pittsburgh's 5-3, I'm licking my freaking chops. And the fact that they're 2-1 right now with this severely lackluster offense, even though we did see improvements, you're not going to be able to take down any big-time team scoring 23 points like they did this Sunday night against Las Vegas. They're only averaging 18.7 points per game. And even though, somehow that's 22nd in the league, that's not going to get the job done. Being second to dead last, being 30th in the National Football League in rushing yards, that's not going to work. A running back's your quarterback's best friend. So yes, there are things that the Steelers need to work on, but nonetheless, I'm not ringing the bell. I'm not worried. I'm taking it game by game. And I think this is the week against Houston where this offense takes that leap and gets back on track. So thank you guys for watching. Enjoy the rest of your days. As always, hit that like button, hit that sub button. Give me some thoughts on this Pittsburgh Steelers offense heading into week 4